some abandoned buildings, which, are a pretty interesting phenomenon when you think about it. Why do we have abandoned buildings? And I'm not just talking like abandoned sheds, I'm talking like this. And these things are everywhere. I mean, look at the ceiling height here. This is, 3 stories probably at the side there. All these fittings are all, looks pretty old world and just abandoned, right? An old pool house. Now this may be, I don't know, in England, but obviously England's full of like, what they want us to believe is Roman bathhouses. But look at this. This is an old world building, right? We've got the arches here. We've got the columns. We've got the massive, massive roofs, the dome up here, the portals, like all the markings. And they've come in, this looks like it's a retrofit of some kind. And now it's just abandoned. So we've got to ask the question, and this sort of goes along with buildings that they knock over as well, right? Why have we got all these, huge old world magnificent buildings that are just not being used, right? They're being, and sometimes it's just they just don't want to use them, so they can fall into disrepair, and then they can knock them over because they don't fit the narrative. And sometimes they're just in the middle of nowhere, right? They're in the wrong spot. But we have this weird history where we have all these magnificent, huge buildings that aren't being used, that are rotting, and we're building these this crappy brutalist architecture that's flimsy and falls apart in 20 or 30 years. Like, why would we have that? And I think we all sort of know what the answer is, right? The answer is because this is all old from the old world, and there was a cataclysm, a reset of some kind, and this stuff didn't suit the new narrative, didn't fit the new cities, or was just not found again, wasn't useful, and so it was just left. It just wasn't done up right. It wasn't like recovered. What's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't founded right. All these words that they use. But I mean, look at this. You can see there's another building over here. So this is a big complex, and we get this. They're everywhere. And, they're everywhere, these buildings. Like, we've got them in Australia. This one's obviously a bit newer. Got a telly here. Got some grass growing on the bed. So that was just an interesting one. But all these old world, you can see here, got the brick architraves, lintels, brick ceilings. Okay, we've got the arches. You can see the symmetry. This looks like old world to me. I would say this is an old world building, especially with this brick ceiling, right? I mean, you can see the work up in here. It's definitely not what we do today, and just rotting, falling apart, right? So why? And I mean, pianos. Who would ever leave a musical instrument behind? There's a guy in Australia who actually, he's got a farm, and he goes around and he collects all the old pianos, and he just puts them out in his field, and they just rot. I just don't understand why you would let something like a piano, especially, rot. These are all, and it's just part of the story, isn't it? These are all things that don't really fit in with the society that they're trying to build, right? They don't, playing the grand piano doesn't fit in with TikTok. Look at this, grand ballroom or something, just left. You can see it's all rotting, falling apart over here. It looks like this door's smashed. Something's happened here, and it's just left to rot. Look at the ceilings in here. Look at the work that's gone into this, and it's like one of these. What are they called? These sort of squarish dome things that we see. They're sort of rounded off the edges. Obviously, huge building, right? Look at the height of it. And these things are everywhere. God, this looks like an old asylum or something. Don't know what that is. Wood, probably. But just, left to, here you go, another, theatre type place. Look what we got up here. Some kind of portal. Stage, and just literally just rotting and falling apart. So why? Why do we have so many? Another pool, right? Massive dome here. Look at this. This is just looks like someone's gone at it with a hammer. Clearly, this is been. This looks might just be painted. Actually, it looks like old world, yeah, old world iron. But being painted, looks like it looks like this one may have been used and then abandoned, right? And I guess that happens a lot. That they get into buildings and they're like, yeah, we'll use it for this, and they may have found whatever down here, a cistern or a tank, and turn it into a pool, and just didn't quite work. So then they just leave it, because I mean, they didn't build it, they didn't pay for it, so they don't worry if they just leave things, do they? This is an old church. You've got the ceilings here. I mean, look at this, just left behind. Looks a bit like a monstrance. I mean, this looks like just, a small little chapel, right? So I don't know if it's just the wing of something bigger, but I mean, all these features look very old world, though, don't they? And another one. I don't know if this is the same one. Look at the size. This is a person. So you can see the height here. This is clearly an old world cathedral, as they call them. Red brick, as they all seem to be. And just literally just rotting. Just rotting. And isn't it interesting? Because most of the time they, the way that people are today, that they just go in and strip them, right, and sell all the stuff off. But they just, in these old buildings, they just leave them. I don't know, maybe it's too hard, but they just leave them to rot. Leave them to rot. Wow. Don't fall down there. Another one, as you can see, this was quite a grand old room. Someone's painted some modern art here. There's the hand. But clearly, again, right, very old world looking. Don't know what this one was. Here's a bit of a window. Looks like it's from there. And just left to rot, right? This, again, looks like it's probably been retrofitted a bit and used and then abandoned. This one, look at the ceiling in this thing. I mean, look at that. I mean, come on. This is, and just left. I mean, what was this room, I wonder? It kind of looks a bit short, and this doesn't look like an original floor, does it? I mean, they may have just covered up the floor, I don't know, but with this ceiling, it looks like it should be taller, like the other old world buildings. But as you can see, this is old world. It's red brick. And just rotting. Why not? Oh my gosh, another piano. And literally, they just leave the furniture, leave the light fittings, leave the curtains. And there's tons of these like old, houses, right? But they call mansions. There's lots and lots of explorer videos, channels that are dedicated to going into these old buildings and checking them out. I mean, look at this stuff. Look at the woodwork in here, man. Look at all this. And I mean, just that wood. I mean, I'm just wondering why they're not stripped, right? Red brick again, but just left to rot. Just left to rot. Because it's not part of our world anymore. Well, that's what they want us to think. Look at this. This is literally what happened here. It looks like they've just left it fully set up. But you can see up here, it looks pretty abandoned. It's starting to fall apart a bit. So there you go. What did you think of that? Old buildings, right? These things are everywhere. And, clearly that something happened. Clearly there was a functioning civilization and something's like, chunk, just stopped it. Dead, right? And everyone's dead, disappeared, right? Done whatever. And then we just get all these buildings that are just left. So some of them, probably been sitting there since the last reset or catastrophe or whatever it was.